It's the Kyle Hyman Show on Redeemer Radio.
This is Kyle Hyman, and here with Cindy Black for Theology of the Body Thursday. Thanks for being here, Cindy.
Good morning.
We won't be here next week.
Nope.
We'll have a special episode of the Kyle Hyman Show, but next week is Thanksgiving, and so...
That's crazy, first of all.
Right?
I know.
Yeah, well, until
It's
you
early,
experience the weather today.
I know,
like,
yeah.
Oh, is this January?
I know.
But how does Theology of the Body fit in with the, I guess, mostly secular holiday of Thanksgiving?
Well, one of the reasons why we talk about this week after week is that the theology of the body reveals our identity and purpose. St. John Paul II's talks on the integration of our body and souls and what our bodies mean really does answer the questions of who we are and how we are to live. So those questions that most people grapple with, those existential questions like who am I and what is the meaning of life, theology of the body, as we look at our bodies and our souls being integrated, it answers those very fundamental questions that we have. And that is that we are created by love, out of love, for love. And that each of us, every single human person, regardless of their family situation, what they know and what they don't know, has unique, unrepeatable, and infinite worth. It's not because of what we do or how others perceive us. Each person is created in the image and likeness of God, who is love, who is a communion of persons. So we're created to be a communion of persons in our relationships with God and with one another. And that ultimately we only find fulfillment when we make a sincere gift of ourselves. So in God's essence as love, that is what he is a sincere gift of himself, like a complete self-gift. And that's how we find our fulfillment, is the more fully we realize that we are created for self-gift. So what we do with our bodies affects our soul, and what, like our brain, then impacts the health of the rest of our bodies. And there's a lot of science to go along with this. So this isn't just a religious notion.
Right.
That social science, brain science, there's so many studies that reveal to us that gratitude is good for our bodies, as are other things that are related to theology of the body.
Well, yeah, it goes back to that whole idea of faith and science can never be in contradiction to each other, because truth is truth, whether it's scientific truth or it's truth of revelation of God. They can't contradict each other. So every once in a while, you'll see science come out with a study and saying, oh, we just discovered this. Like, yeah, because that's how we were created. That's what God has told us for thousands of years.
Exactly.
So maybe what are some of those examples of these scientific studies and things that have shown how gratitude can benefit us?
Well, starting with mental health, that's one of the practices that can really improve somebody's overall mental health is daily keeping a gratitude journal, or simply just thinking about what you're grateful for. So it improves mental health. There are also studies that say it improves sleep, that if when you're trying to fall asleep, if you count things that you're grateful for, your sleep will be more restful and kind of longer REM sleep.
Yeah.
So that notion of what we think in our brains affects the whole person. People who express gratitude have better relationships and overall better physical health, so mental health and physical health. And you can Google all kinds of studies from the perspective of psychology to cardiology to, other things. So
going back to one of the things you said early on, that we are created by love, out of love, and for love. How does that idea of gratitude and being thankful, or counting your blessings, or keeping a gratitude journal, or any of that, fit in with that concept of being created by love, out of love, and for love?
Well, gratitude at its essence is expressing, looking at the positive things and seeing them as a gift. Seeing things in our lives as a gift rather than something meaningless, or even if we're grateful for trials that have made us stronger and things like that, we see that everything that we have is gift. Our very lives are gift. And that helps us to enter into the reality that we are created by love, for love, and out of love.
We're talking with Cindy Black here for Theology of the Body Thursday as we gear up for Thanksgiving. Some things to keep in mind, I think, of what are we thankful for? What are we taking for granted, I think, is probably more often than not the things that we've been given and the things that we have. How are some other ways that this fits in with Theology of the Body?
Well, that notion of self-gift, studies also show that volunteering or service to others improves our mental and physical health as well. So actually, our family doctor is Dr. Mullally at Credo Family Medicine, and he mentions a three-pronged approach to greater mental health. That the first and foremost is lifestyle, and then medication and counseling. But lifestyle, he talks about the main things to do are to make sure you're getting proper diet and rest, but then to keep a gratitude journal, and then to get out and volunteer. People who suffer from depression who add volunteerism to their weekly activities see greater improvements than those who don't. So actually that living out of that self-gift, because that's what we were created for, actually does help us. Now, I don't want anyone to think that I'm negating other things. Going out and volunteering isn't going to solve all of our health issues. So that being said, but overall it does. Also, there are studies.
Washing your hands doesn't keep you from getting the cold.
Right. It helps. Yeah, exactly.
It helps.
Yeah, there we go. It's part of this holistic approach that we shouldn't ignore how we're created, and this integration of faith and our bodies is tangible. It's real. Another study indicated that not only are we coming on Thanksgiving, but then, Christmas shopping and things like that, is that if somebody spends money on themselves, they have way less satisfaction than if they spend money on someone else.
Right. Which it seems like the opposite.
I
You
know.
think like, I'm going to be happier if I get something for myself.
Right.
But yeah, I've read this
The
study.
brain
There's
science.
actually a TED Talk on it. This guy who they gave college students money and told some of them, spend it on yourself, go get yourself a nice coffee or a treat or something like that, and told the other ones to do it for somebody else. And the ones that gave it away were happier afterwards.
Absolutely. Remembering that our happiness is related to the chemistry in our brain and in our bodies, that it's all tied together. So not only did they feel happier, but it actually was beneficial to their physical health as well.
And I suppose if you're talking too about the difference between happiness and joy, happiness being kind of in the moment, maybe more superficial enjoyment of something, and then joy being a deeper, more long-lasting, I can only imagine how any happiness that does come from getting yourself is much more temporary, whereas the joy of doing something for somebody else would be more long-lasting.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah. Another thing that shows us the wisdom of how we are created is that prayer actually helps us with our mental and physical well-being. So we were created not only for that self-gift to others, but also for that relationship with God. That time, even people who aren't Christian or aren't religious, that meditation tends to help. So even more so when we know the source of our being and we believe in God, we believe in Jesus Christ who shared our humanity or shares our humanity, how much more so does it help we who know our God and can be in relationship with him to spend that quiet time communing with him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know in times when I've been more faithful to prayer, I've definitely felt more at peace than the times where I feel like I'm quote unquote too busy to pray, or I don't make it a priority, for sure.
Right. This just shows this integration of our body and soul and how beautifully designed we are, but then shows us that the more closely we live the truths that are revealed through the theology of the body, the more fulfilled we will be, the better the chances of our health reflecting that we're living in accordance with God's will. Not saying that people who pray, express gratitude, volunteer, spend money on others won't have disease and things like that, but they're definitely better off with those things integrated into their lives or incorporated into their lives than if they hadn't.
Sure. All right. So any other tips for us to be thinking about as far as applying these practices, especially as we lead up to Thanksgiving and we're going to be around family maybe and having the festivities? How can we be more grateful, be more thankful? How can we focus more on prayer and serving others?
Well, I know a lot of families will just go around and give one thing that they're thankful for, or maybe three things. I think between now and Thanksgiving, I would challenge listeners to make a list of at least 100 things that you're grateful for.
Sure.
Because it's really easy to rattle off the big things. But when you start getting down the list and thinking of, the blessings of even the smaller things or the things that didn't seem like a blessing at the time, and start reflecting on gratitude, it's a different kind of experience and exercise, and it takes you to a different place. So really taking the time, maybe between now and then, maybe you write down 10 things or 20 things each day between now and Thanksgiving, or, a lot of people have the 4 or 5 days. Maybe you do 20 a day where you're listing and you're not repeating each day, where it's, so you get up to very unique things, and then sharing some of those things, expressing it to someone else. Letting them know that they've made that impact in your life and that you're grateful for something that they've contributed. And of course, expressing that direct gratitude to our Lord.
Yeah, I like that, because I feel like the first 10 are probably the things that we recognize on somewhat regular basis. And those next 90 are the things that we're taking for granted and we need to be grateful for and need to be reminded of our blessings. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Cindy, for reminding us to be thankful and reminding us the positive effects of gratitude, because that is how we're created. Appreciate it.
Yep.